The message came on a Tuesday morning. All screens across Earth showed the same thing at once. Greg Miller was drinking coffee in his kitchen when his tablet lit up with the face of an alien. The alien had blue skin, 4 eyes, and a high forehead, with strange marks. Greg almost spilled his coffee. The alien spoke in a deep voice. "People of Earth, we are the Zorthan fleet. For 3,000 years we have kept peace in the galaxy. Today that peace ends. Earth must surrender to us now. You have 24 hours to decide." Then the screens went back to normal. Greg blinked a few times. He checked the news channels. Everyone was talking about the alien message. The alien face was everywhere. Greg worked at the Space Defense Center in Colorado. He grabbed his jacket and ran to his car. His phone rang. It was his boss, Susan Kelly. "Greg, get here now," she said. "The aliens have ships near Mars and they're coming. Closer." "I'm on my way," Greg said. Traffic was crazy. Everyone was rushing around. Some people looked scared. Others were taking videos and talking excitedly. When Greg reached the Space Defense Center, guards checked his ID twice. Inside, the main room was full of people. Screens showed maps of space with red dots moving toward Earth. Susan waved him. "Over." "Greg, look at this data. The alien ships just passed the moon." Greg sat at his computer and started looking at the information coming in from Earth's space sensors. What he saw made him frown. He checked again. Then he started to smile. "Susan, these ships, they're not very strong," he said. Susan looked over his shoulder. "What do you mean?" "Their weapons are old. Really old. Like thousands of years old. Our smallest defense satellites could stop them." More people gathered around Greg's screen. General Pat Harris pushed through the crowd. "Tell me what you see." "Miller," the general ordered. Greg showed the data. "Sir, these ships are using energy systems we figured out how to beat 500 years ago. Their shields couldn't stop a small asteroid, let alone our weapons." The general stared at the screen. Then he did something surprising. He laughed. It started small, then grew louder. "Is this some kind of joke?" he asked no one in particular. A woman stepped forward. She had gray hair and glasses. Dr. Karen Wells was Earth's top alien expert. "I don't think it's a joke, General," she said. "The Zorthans are known for being very formal and traditional. But this is strange behavior even for them." On the big screen, they could see 50 alien ships moving into orbit around Earth. They were big and had fancy designs with glowing blue lights and long, curved parts that looked like wings. They looked scary at first glance. But the defense, computers kept showing the same thing. The ships were weak. Their weapons couldn't even damage Earth's atmosphere shields. News was spreading fast. At first, people had been afraid, but now videos were showing up online of people laughing at the alien threat. Someone had already made a funny song using the alien's voice. In the White House, President Diane Foster met with her advisors. They sat around a long table with worried faces. "What do they want?" the president asked. A man in a military uniform showed her a tablet. "Madam President, they say they want us to surrender, but their ships are not a real threat. They couldn't even land on Earth if they wanted to." The president looked confused. "Why would they threaten us with ships that can't win?" No one had an answer. Dr. Wells spoke up from a video screen. "Madam President, I think we need to talk to them. This doesn't make sense. The Zorthans helped create the Galactic Peace Treaty 3,000 years ago. They're known as peacekeepers, not warriors." The president nodded. "Set up communication." Back at the Space Defense Center, Greg was helping prepare the communication systems. They needed to send a message to the alien fleet. "We're ready," he told Susan. The president's face appeared on their screen. "This is President Diane Foster of Earth. I will speak to the alien leader." The screen changed. The blue-skinned alien appeared again. He wore what looked like old-fashioned armor that shone in gold and silver colors. "I am High Commander Zorak of the Zorthan Fleet," the alien said. "Have you decided to surrender?" The president kept her face serious, though people behind her were having trouble not smiling. "High Commander, we are confused by your threat. Your ships do not have the power to defeat Earth's defenses. Why have you broken 3,000 years of peace for this? High Commander Zorak blinked all four of his eyes. He seemed surprised that they weren't afraid. Our mighty fleet has conquered many worlds, he declared. But his voice didn't sound as confident now. In homes and public places across Earth, people were watching this exchange, and they were laughing. Social media was full of jokes and memes about the mighty alien fleet. Someone had created a cartoon showing the alien ships being stopped by a single Earth defense satellite shaped like a fly swatter. In a small apartment in New York, Lily Chen watched with her roommates. They had been scared at first, but now they were laughing so hard they had tears in their eyes. "Look at his face," Lily said, pointing at High Commander Zorak. "He expected us to be terrified." On the communication channel, the president was being polite but firm. "High Commander, we do not understand your purpose here, but we do not surrender. Perhaps we could discuss whatever concerns you have peacefully." The alien leader seemed at a loss for words. He looked off screen as if seeking advice from someone. This is not going as expected," he finally said, seeming to forget he was still on the public channel. In the Space Defense Center, Greg couldn't help but laugh too. The mighty alien invasion that had scared everyone just hours ago now seemed like a bad joke, but Dr. Wells wasn't laughing. She was watching the alien commander carefully. "Something isn't right," she said quietly. "The Zorthans aren't stupid. They wouldn't do this without a reason." As if hearing her, High Commander Zorak straightened up and spoke again. "Humans, your reaction is unexpected. We request a meeting with your leaders. There is more to this situation than you understand." The president nodded. "We agree to meet. We will send coordinates for a neutral location." When the communication ended, the room was quiet for a moment. Then someone in the back said, "Did we just laugh off an alien invasion?" The room filled with laughter again. But Greg noticed that Dr. Wells was still serious. She was typing quickly, on her tablet searching through old records about the Zorthans. "What are you looking for?" Greg asked her. "A ritual," she said without looking up. "I remember reading something about a Zorthan ritual that happens every few thousand years. I think we might be part of it without knowing." Outside, the alien ships continued to orbit Earth, their fancy designs glittering in the sunlight. They looked impressive but had no real power. The mighty invasion that broke 3,000 years of peace had become the galaxy's biggest joke. But maybe there was more to the story than anyone yet knew. Dr. Emma Lee worked through the night. She read old books and files about the Krell. Most of these files were from before humans joined the galactic community. She found something interesting in a very old report. "The Krell perform a ritual every 3,000 years, she read out loud to herself. "They call it the memory of war." The next morning, Emma went to the big meeting at the White House. People from all around the world were there. Military leaders, scientists, and government officials sat around a long table. President Clark stood at the head of the table. "The Krell have agreed to a meeting," the president said. "We will send 5 people to talk with them on their main ship. Dr. Lee will go because she knows the most about the Krell." Emma felt her heart beat faster. She had studied aliens for 20 years, but she had never met one face to face. "I found something important," Emma said. She stood up and everyone looked at her. "The Krell have a special ritual they do every 3,000 years. They call it the memory of war. They pretend to be warriors again, like they were before the peace started." General Jones frowned. "Are you saying this whole invasion is just play acting?" "I think so," Emma said. "The ritual is very important to them. It helps them remember their past and why they chose peace." "But why pick on us?" asked Paula Reed from Space Command. She had been invited to the meeting too. "Why not do their ritual with someone else?" "I'm not sure," Emma admitted. "But I think it's because humans are the newest members of the galactic community. We're still unknown to them." "So what do we do?" the president asked. "Play along with their game?" Emma thought carefully. "We should talk to them. Find out exactly what this ritual means and what they expect from us." The president nodded. "The meeting team will be Dr. Lee, General Jones, Ms. Reed, and 2 of my advisors. You leave in 2 hours." John Baker heard about the meeting from Paula. He helped prepare the shuttle that would take them to the alien ship. "I wish I could go with you," he told Paula as she got ready to leave. "Someone needs to stay here and keep things running," Paula said with a smile. "Besides, it might be boring, just a bunch of talking." John wasn't so sure. Nothing about this situation seemed boring to him. The shuttle left Earth and headed to the largest Krell ship. It took 30 minutes to reach it. The human team looked out the windows at the alien ship. It was huge and shaped like a wheel with spikes coming out from the center. The ship had colorful lights and strange symbols painted on its side. "Looks more like a parade float than a warship," General Jones said. The shuttle entered a large opening in the side of the alien ship. They landed in a room with high ceilings. The door opened, and the humans stepped out. 5 Krell were waiting. For them, they were taller than humans with green skin and 6 eyes. They wore shiny armor that looked very old but well cared for. The armor had strange symbols and colorful gems. High Commander Krell Dax stepped forward. Up close, he was almost 8 feet tall. "Welcome, humans," he said. His voice was deep and formal. "We are honored by your presence." The humans followed, the Krell through long hallways. The inside of the ship was beautiful, with art on the walls showing battles and peace ceremonies. They entered a large room with a round table. The humans sat on one side, the Krell on the other. "We are confused by your actions," President Clark's advisor said. "You broke 3,000 years of peace to attack us with ships that cannot win. Why?" High Commander Krell Dax looked uncomfortable. The other Krell whispered to each other. "The ritual of remembrance has been part of our culture for 9,000 years, Krell Dax said finally. "Every 3,000 years we choose a world and pretend to attack it. We use our ancient ships and weapons. We speak the old words of war. It helps us remember why we chose peace so long ago." "But why choose Earth?" Paula asked. "Each time, we choose the newest member of the galactic community," another Krell explained. "It is an honor. You are the first new member in 2,000 years. Emma leaned forward. "What response do you expect from the chosen world?" The Krell looked at each other again. They seemed unsure how to answer. "The ritual has steps," Krell Dax said slowly. "First, we make our threat. Then the chosen world shows fear but stands strong. We have small war games without real fighting. Finally, we reach an understanding and celebrate together. It teaches both sides about courage and wisdom." "But we didn't follow your steps, General," Jones said. "We laughed at your threat." The room was quiet. The Krell looked down at the table. "Yes," Krell Dax said quietly. "In 9,000 years, this has never happened before. No one has ever laughed at the ritual." "Is that bad?" Emma asked. An older Krell with decorations on his armor spoke up. "It is unexpected, but perhaps it shows us something new. In our history, we moved from fear to peace. But you humans have moved beyond even that. You see the foolishness of war and can laugh at it. Back on Earth, people were still having fun with the situation. Internet jokes about the alien invasion were everywhere. Some people made costumes that looked like Krell armor. Children played games pretending to be humans laughing at aliens. In New York, a big party started in Times Square. People danced and played music. Someone hung a banner that said, "Thanks for the excuse to party, aliens." On the Krell ship, the meeting continued. The humans explained how Earth had reacted to the threat. The Krell were amazed. Most worlds react with fear, then pride, then understanding, Krell Dax said. Your world went straight to laughter. It is educational for us. So what happens now? Paula asked. Do we still need to follow your ritual steps? The older Krell spoke again. The purpose of our ritual is to remember and learn. Perhaps this time, we are the ones who will learn something new from you. Emma had an idea. What if we change the ritual? Instead of pretending to fight, why not have a celebration? You can show us your history and culture, and we can show you ours. The Krell talked among themselves in their own language. Finally, Krell Dax nodded. This is acceptable. We will change the ritual. Our ships will stay in orbit for 7 days. We will share knowledge and celebrate together. When the human team returned to Earth, they brought the news. President Clark made an announcement to the world. The Krell came here to perform an ancient ritual that helps them remember why peace is better than war, she explained. They were surprised when we laughed at their pretend attack. Now they want to learn from us and share their culture with us. For the next week, there will be Krell visitors on Earth. Please welcome them and show them the best of humanity. People around the world were excited. The fear was completely gone now. Everyone wanted to meet the aliens who had accidentally given Earth the biggest joke in history. In his little office at Space Command, John Baker smiled as he watched the president's announcement. The aliens who came to pretend to be warriors would go home with a new story to tell. Humans didn't respond to threats with fear. They responded with laughter. And somehow, that was the most powerful response of all. The first Krell visitors came to Earth the next day. They landed in big cities around the world. In New York, a group of 5 Krell walked through Times Square. People took pictures with them. Children asked to touch their green skin. The Krell seemed shy at first, but soon they were enjoying the attention. John Baker was surprised when he got a special message at work. Paula Reed had put his name on the list of people who would help show the Krell around. He would take 2 Krell visitors to places in his city. "Why me?" John asked Paula when he saw her in the hall. "You know how to talk to people," Paula said. "And you were the first one to understand that their ships weren't really dangerous. I think you'll do great." John was nervous but excited. He met his 2 Krell visitors at the city airport. One was tall with darker green skin. His name was Krell Vox. The other was shorter with light green skin. Her name was Krell Nara. John was surprised to learn Krell had different genders just like humans. "What would you like to see first?" John asked them. Krell Vox looked at a small device in his hand. "We are interested in the place you call a shopping mall. Our research shows many humans gather there." John smiled. "I know just the place." He took them to the biggest mall in the city. People stared as they walked in. Soon a crowd followed them. Everyone wanted to see the aliens. The Krell were polite but seemed overwhelmed. "Is it always this busy?" Krell Nara asked. "No," John said. "People are excited to meet you. Maybe we should go somewhere quieter." He took them to a small park instead. They sat on benches and watched children play. "Your young ones play games about fighting," Krell Vox noticed. "But they laugh while they do it." John watched some boys playing, with toy swords. "Yes, they pretend to fight, but it's just for fun. They don't really want to hurt each other." "Interesting," Krell Nara said. "Our children are not allowed to play such games. We teach them that fighting is serious, never fun." "But your whole species pretends to fight every 3,000 years, John pointed out. The 2 Krell looked at each other. "That is different," Krell Vox said. "The ritual is serious. It helps us remember the pain of war so we don't repeat it." "But humans turned it into a joke," Krell Nara said. "Why?" John thought about it. "I think because we see the funny side of things, even serious things. It helps us deal with fear." In Washington, D.C., Dr. Emma Lee was giving a tour to High Commander Krelldax and 2 other important Krell. They visited the National Museum of History. Emma showed them exhibits about human wars. "Humans have fought many wars," she explained, "but we try to learn from them. Each time we create better rules to prevent war." Krelldax studied the exhibits carefully. "You keep weapons in a museum?" he asked, pointing to an old tank. "Yes," Emma said, "to remember our history, both good and bad." "We do not keep real weapons from our past," Krelldax said. "We only have copies for our ritual. The real ones were destroyed long ago." "Why?" Emma asked. "To remove the temptation of war," an older Krell said. "If no real weapons exist, war cannot happen again." Emma nodded. "That's one approach. Humans chose a different path. We keep some old weapons to remind us of the cost of war while making rules about new ones." The Krell seemed troubled by this idea. They talked among themselves in their language. "Your way is risky," Krelldax said finally. "Life is risky. Emma replied with a small smile. But we believe remembering our full history, even the bad parts, helps us make better choices. All around the world, similar conversations were happening. Krell visitors learned about humans, and humans learned about Krell. News channels showed Krell trying human food, watching movies, and visiting famous places. In Chicago, a Krell tried pizza for the first time. His reaction of surprise and joy was watched by millions online. In Tokyo, Krell visitors watched a comedy show and learned about human humor. In Rio de Janeiro, Krell joined a street dance and tried to copy the moves with their tall bodies. Every night, the Krell returned to their ships to rest and share what they had learned. They sent reports back to their homeworld. The reports told about humans and their strange ways, especially their ability to laugh at serious things. On the third day, something new happened. The Krell invited humans to visit their ships. Small groups went up in shuttles. John was invited because his Krell visitors liked him. He went up with 20 other humans. The inside of the Krell ship was beautiful. The walls were covered with art. The floors shone like glass. The Krell showed them large rooms where they lived and worked. "This is our Hall of Memory," Krellvok said as they entered a round room. The walls showed pictures of Krell history. "Here we remember the wars of darkness when many Krell died fighting each other. This is why we chose peace 3,000 years ago." John and the other humans looked at the pictures. They showed battles and suffering. The last picture showed Krell and other alien species signing a peace treaty. "The Galactic Alliance," John said, recognizing the famous meeting. "That's when the 3,000 years of peace began." "Yes," Krell Nara said, "our greatest achievement, but we must never forget what came before, or we might repeat it." That night, in cities around the world, the Krell did something special. Their ships sent down lights that made huge pictures in the sky. The pictures showed the history of the galaxy. The last picture showed Earth joining the Galactic Alliance just 50 years ago. People watched from streets and rooftops. It was beautiful. Some people cried, others cheered. Everyone felt proud that Earth was now part of the galactic story. In New York, Maria Lopez watched the sky show with her family. "I can't believe we thought they were attacking us just a few days ago," she said. "I can't believe they thought we would be scared of those old ships." Her father laughed. On the 6th day, President Clark invited all the Krell leaders to a special dinner at the White House. There were also leaders from other countries and important scientists like Dr. Emma Lee. "Our two species have learned much from each other this week," the president said in her speech. "What began as a misunderstanding has become a friendship." High Commander Krell Dax stood up next. "For 9,000 years, the ritual of remembrance has followed the same pattern. This time, humans showed us a new way. You taught us that peace is stronger when we can laugh at the memory of war, not just fear it." Everyone clapped. Humans and Krell raised their glasses in a toast to friendship and understanding. On the last day, the Krell ships prepared to leave Earth. People gathered to watch them go. The Krell had made many friends during their week on Earth. There were sad goodbyes and promises to visit again. Before they left, High Commander Krell Dax made one last announcement from his ship. All screens on Earth showed his face again, but this time no one was afraid. "People of Earth," he said, "you have changed our oldest ritual forever. From now on, the ritual of remembrance will include laughter as well as serious memory. We will remember not just why we fear war, but why we can laugh at it too. Thank you for this gift." As the Krell ships left Earth's orbit, they created one last light show in the sky. It showed a human and a Krell laughing together. The picture could be seen from everywhere on the side of Earth facing space. John Baker watched from the roof of his apartment building. He thought about his new friends Krellvox and Krell Nara. They had promised to write to him. He would be the first human to have alien pen pals. "The aliens broke 3,000 years of peace to attack us," John said, to himself with a smile. "And all we did was laugh. Maybe that's the best defense of all." 6 months passed since the Krell ships left Earth. Life went back to normal for most people. But the world had changed in small ways. Children played new games about friendly aliens. Stores sold toys that looked like Krell ships. TV shows had new alien characters based on the Krell. John Baker still worked at Space Command. He had a new job now. He was in charge of communications with alien visitors. It was an important job because more aliens wanted to visit Earth than ever before. Another request from the Zintari, Paula Reed said, dropping a file on John's desk. That's the third one this month. John smiled. Everyone wants to meet the humans who laughed at an invasion. The story had spread across the galaxy. The Krell told other species about their visit to Earth. They shared videos of humans laughing at their ships and making jokes about the attack. The story became famous. Dr. Lee wants to see you, Paula said. Something about a message from your Krell friends. John went to Emma's office. She was looking at her computer screen with a serious face. What's wrong? John asked. Emma looked up. We got a message from Krell Dax. They want you to visit their homeworld. Me? John was surprised. Why me? I'm not important. They asked for you by name, Emma said. They say you understand humor better than most humans. They want you to help them change their ritual of remembrance. 2 weeks later, John was on a ship heading to the Krell homeworld. He had never left Earth before. The journey would take 10 days. He spent the time learning more about Krell history and culture. The Krell planet was called Vraxos. It was bigger than Earth and had 3 moons. The ship landed in a large city with tall buildings that looked like they were made of glass and silver. Krellvox and Krellnara met John at the landing area. They had become his friends during their visit to Earth. They wrote to each other often. Welcome to Vraxos, Krellvox said. You are the first human to visit our world. They took John on a tour of the city. Everything was clean and orderly. The Krell moved in organized ways, following paths marked on the ground. There were no cars or trucks. Everyone walked or used floating platforms that moved slowly above the streets. Where are all the children? John asked. He had not seen any. Young Krell. They are in learning centers, Krellnara explained. They stay there until they are old enough to join society. John thought this was sad, but he didn't say so. He was a guest here and didn't want to be rude. That evening, John met with the Krell High Council. They were the leaders of all Krell. High Commander Krell Dax was there, along with 12 other Krell who looked very old and important. John Baker of Earth, Krell Dax said formally. We thank you for coming. The next ritual of remembrance will happen in 3,000 years. We want to change it based on what we learned from humans. You will help us. John felt nervous. I'm not sure how I can help. I'm not an expert on rituals. The oldest Krell spoke next. For 9,000 years, our ritual has focused on fear and respect. When we visit a world, we want them to fear war so they will value peace. But humans showed us another way. You laughed at war. This is new to us. We want to understand humor. Another council member said, we want to learn how to laugh at things that are serious. John thought about this. It seemed like a big job. How could he teach an entire species to have a sense of humor? I'll try my best, he said. But humor is complicated. What's funny to one person might not be funny to another. We understand, Krell Dax said. That is why you will stay with us for 1 year. You will teach us and we will teach you. 1 year was a long time. John hadn't expected that, but he was excited about the opportunity. No human had ever spent so much time with the Krell. The next day, John started his new job as a teacher of humor. He met with a group of young Krell at one of their learning centers. They sat in a circle and looked at him with their 6 eyes. Today we're going to learn about jokes, John said. A joke is a story with a surprising ending that makes people laugh. He told them a simple joke. Why did the chicken cross the road? To get to the other side. The young Krell looked confused. One raised a hand. What is a chicken? And why would its road crossing have any other purpose? John realized this might be harder than he thought. As the days passed, John tried different approaches. He showed the Krell funny movies and explained why humans thought they were funny. He taught them about puns and wordplay. He showed them how to exaggerate to make something funny. Some Krell learned faster than others. Krellnara was good at understanding humor. She even made up her own joke. Why did the Zintari need 4 ships because they can't count to 3? It wasn't very funny to humans, but it made the Krell laugh. After 3 months, John got some news from Earth. The Galactic Alliance wanted to change the peace treaty. They wanted to add something called the human principle. What's that? John asked Krell Dax when he told him about it. It means all species should remember to laugh at themselves, Krell Dax explained. It helps prevent war if we don't take ourselves too seriously. John felt proud. Humans had only been part of the Galactic Alliance for 50 years, but they had already changed it in an important way. One day, Krellvox took John to a special ceremony. The Krell were adding a new section to their Hall of Memory. The new section showed the story of their visit to Earth. The final image showed a human laughing with a Krell. This is the most important addition in 3,000 years, Krellvox said. It shows what we learned from humans. John stayed on Vraxos for the full year. He learned as much from the Krell as they learned from him. When it was time to go home, there was a big ceremony. All the important Krell came to say goodbye. You have changed us, High Commander Krelldak said. For 9,000 years we remembered war with fear. Now we will also remember it with laughter. This makes peace even stronger. As a gift, the Krell gave John a small model of one of their ships. It was made of precious metal and had tiny gems on it. When you push this button, Krell Nara showed him, it plays the sound of Krell laughter. John pushed the button. The sound of Krell laughing filled the room. It was a strange sound, like bells ringing underwater, but it was wonderful to hear. On the journey back to Earth, John thought about everything he had learned. The Krell were an ancient species with great wisdom, but they had never learned to laugh at themselves until they met humans. Sometimes the youngest species has the most to teach, and sometimes laughter is more powerful than the strongest weapons. When John's ship came into Earth orbit, he looked down at his home planet. From space, you couldn't see borders between countries or any signs of human conflict. It looked peaceful and beautiful. The aliens broke 3,000 years of peace to strike humanity, and humans just laughed. That laughter had changed the galaxy forever. 3 years had passed since John Baker returned from the Krell homeworld. Earth had changed a lot in that time. More alien species visited now. They came to trade, learn, and make friends. Some even stayed to live on Earth. John had a new job. He worked for the Galactic Alliance as a teacher. He taught aliens about humans, and he taught humans about aliens. He loved his work. Today was a special day. A new alien species called the Vordak was joining the Galactic Alliance. Earth was hosting the ceremony because of the human principle. The Vordak needed to learn about laughter. John stood on the stage in front of a big crowd. There were humans and many kinds of aliens. In the front row sat 5 Vordak. They were small with blue skin and 4 arms. They looked very serious. Welcome to Earth, John said. Before you join the Alliance, you need to understand the human principle. It's about learning to laugh at ourselves. The Vordak leader, a female named Zoltar, spoke up. We do not understand this laughing. It seems disrespectful. John smiled. Let me tell you a story. 3 years ago, the Krell came to Earth in old ships. They pretended they were going to attack us. Do you know what humans did? You defeated them, Zoltar guessed. No. We laughed at them. Their ships were so old and weak that we thought it was funny. We made jokes about it. The Vordak looked shocked. That is very rude. The Krell are an ancient and honored species. The Krell thought so too at first, John said. But then they learned something important from us. Laughing at something scary makes it less scary, and if you can laugh at yourself, you won't get too proud or angry. Zoltar and the other Vordak talked among themselves in their own language. They seemed troubled by this idea. We will try to understand, Zoltar said finally, but it is difficult. John nodded. That's why we have a special guest today. High Commander Krelldax has come all the way from Vraxos to help explain. Krelldax walked onto the stage. He looked the same as when John first met him, tall and green with 6 eyes. But now he wore simpler clothes, not war armor. Greetings, Vordak, Krelldax said. My species is 5 times older than yours. We have been part of the Alliance since it began, and yet We learned our most important lesson just 3 years ago from humans. Krelldax told the story of how the Krell came to Earth for their ritual. He explained how surprised they were when humans laughed instead of being afraid. At first we were confused and even angry, he said. How dare they laugh at our sacred ritual? But then we realized something. The humans had moved beyond fear. They saw that our old ships were no real threat, and they found humor in the situation. This was wisdom we had not seen before. Zoltar still looked uncertain. But how does this help keep peace? War comes from fear and pride, Krelldax explained. If you fear others, you might attack first to protect yourself. If you have too much pride, you might fight when someone insults you. But if you can laugh at yourself and at scary things, both fear and pride have less power over you. John stepped forward again. The human principle isn't just about jokes. It's about not taking ourselves too seriously. It's about seeing the bigger picture. To everyone's surprise, Dr. Emma Lee walked onto the stage. She was older now, with gray in her hair. She had become Earth's ambassador to the Galactic Alliance. When I first studied the Krell, Emma said, I learned they had removed all real weapons from their world. They were afraid that if weapons existed, someone might use them. This came from fear. She looked at the Vordak. Humans took a different path. We keep our history, even the bad parts. We remember our wars. But we also learn to see them from different angles. Sometimes that means laughing at how foolish war really is. The ceremony continued for several hours. Other species shared their stories of learning the human principle. A tall, bird-like alien called a Quintar did a funny dance that made everyone laugh, even some of the Vordak. At the end, it was time for the Vordak to decide. Would they accept the human principle and join the Alliance? Zoltar stood up. This has been strange for us. Vordak believe in being serious and respectful, but we can see the wisdom in what you say. Pride and fear do cause many problems. She looked at her fellow Vordak. They nodded. We will join the Alliance and accept the human principle. We may not be good at laughing yet, but we will learn. Everyone clapped. The Vordak were now the newest member of the Galactic Alliance. After the ceremony, John talked with his old friends Krellvox and Krellnara. They had come with Krelldax for the ceremony. How are things on Vraxos? John asked. Very different, Krellvox said. Children now learn humor in school. Some older Krell think it's wrong, but most see the value in it. We even have joke contests now, Krellnara added. I won second place last month. That's wonderful, John said. And the next ritual of remembrance? It's still a long way off, but have you made plans? Yes, Krelldax joined their conversation. The next ritual will be very different. We will still use our old ships, but not to pretend to attack. Instead, we will visit the newest Alliance member and perform a play about the time we came to Earth. A play? John was surprised. Yes, it will show how we came to threaten Earth and how humans laughed at us. It will show both sides learning from each other. The ending will be both serious and funny. John smiled. The Krell had really changed. That evening, there was a big party. Humans and aliens celebrated together. There was music, food from different worlds, and lots of laughter. President Clark gave a short speech. 3 years ago, when the Krell came to Earth, we didn't know what to expect. When we saw their old ships and heard their threats, we couldn't help but laugh. We didn't know then that our laughter would change the galaxy. She raised her glass. To the human principle. May we all learn to laugh a little more and fear a little less. Later that night, John stood outside looking at the stars. So much had changed because of one funny moment in history. Humans had only been part of the galactic community for a short time, but they had already made their mark. The door opened behind him. Emma came out to join him. Thinking deep thoughts? She asked. Just about how strange life is, John said. I was nobody special, just a guy who fixed computers. Now I teach aliens about human culture. You were the right person at the right time, Emma said. You understood both sides. They watched a shooting star cross the sky. The Krell kept peace for 3,000 years through fear and respect, John said. Who knows how long peace will last now that we've added laughter to the mix? Maybe forever, Emma said. That's the hope anyway. As they stood there, a message came on John's phone. It was from the Galactic Alliance. The Zintari, another alien species, wanted to visit Earth next month. They had heard about the human principle and wanted to learn more. John smiled as he read the message. The story was still spreading across the stars. The aliens broke 3,000 years of peace to strike humanity. Humans just laughed. And that laughter was now the newest foundation of peace in the galaxy.